some of the oldest writing on Earth describes the sky as sealed shut, a vault holding back a cosmic ocean on the other side, with something living up there among the waters. That claim comes from tablets thousands of years old. Buried in the ruins of a civilization whose achievements still surprise historians today, and from one man's search for their missing pieces, which ended in tragedy. In the 19th century, a self-taught Assyriologist named George Smith spent his lunch breaks at the British Museum, teaching himself cuneiform from fragments recovered at Nineveh, brought back decades earlier by excavators who had barely begun to understand what they'd found. Piecing together thousands of broken fragments, he reconstructed large portions of what would later become known as the Epic of Gilgamesh, and inside it, a flood story that closely mirrored the biblical account of Noah. Contemporary accounts describe him leaping up from his desk in excitement the moment he realized what he was reading. The discovery caused a sensation. Edwin Arnold, editor of the Daily Telegraph, funded Smith's return to Nineveh in 1873 to search for the missing fragments, and he found them within days of starting to dig. 3 years later, the British Museum's own trustees sent him back a third time to finish excavating what remained of the Library of Ashurbanipal. On that trip, traveling near Aleppo, Smith fell ill with dysentery. He died there in August 1876, at 36, having helped establish Assyriology as a modern discipline. But Smith wasn't the only mystery buried inside those ruins. Long before Greece or Rome existed, the Sumerians were building thriving cities across southern Mesopotamia. They developed cuneiform, the world's earliest known writing system, and used it to record everything from tax receipts to epic poetry. Their cities, Uruk, and Eridu, ran on sophisticated irrigation canals that turned dry land into farmland. Their mathematicians built the sexagesimal, base 60 system that still shapes how we measure time and angles today. Their priests tracked the moon, planets, and stars closely enough to build working calendars, and their scribes produced some of the earliest surviving legal codes in human history, the Code of Ur-Nammu, more than 3 centuries older than the more famous Code of Hammurabi. None of it required anything beyond centuries of patient observation and practical problem solving. That's what makes it remarkable on its own. No embellishment required. Yet among the more than 130,000 cuneiform tablets in the British Museum's collection alone, a handful describes something far stranger than trade routes or kings. Some ancient Mesopotamian texts describe the sky as if it had solid boundaries, a great vaulted dome stretching above the earth, with cosmic waters held back beyond it. The idea surfaces again in the opening chapters of Genesis, where God separates the waters above from the waters below, and in the Babylonian creation epic, the Enuma Elish, where the ordered universe is carved out of primeval water. Read literally by modern eyes, it can sound like a description of an actual physical barrier. Historians read it differently, as a picture of how these cultures understood their place in the cosmos, through religion and symbolism, not a record of hidden knowledge about the atmosphere or outer space. But if the sky really was imagined as a vault, who did these cultures believe lived beyond it? Mesopotamian mythology answers with the Igigi, a class of divine beings generally described as belonging to the heavens itself.
These clay tablets are 5,000 years old and more, and they tell of the arrival of the Anunnaki, the pantheon of gods. The chief was Anu.
The Anunnaki, by contrast, appear in shifting roles across different periods and traditions, sometimes tied to major deities, sometimes, in later texts, linked with the underworld, but never fixed to one identity for long. The Igigi are no longer stable. In some myths, they're loyal servants maintaining cosmic order. In others, they're an exhausted, rebellious workforce whose uprising sets off the events, explaining why humanity was created at all. There's no single, fixed version, because different cities and different scribes across centuries told the story their own way. That instability is exactly what makes the mythology worth studying. The real mystery was never whether the Igigi physically existed. It's how a single idea kept reshaping itself across 1,000 years of scribal tradition. And that's where modern retellings take a very different turn, one that has nothing to do with anything actually written on clay. Online, a persistent claim holds that a mysterious Sumerian tablet sits locked away inside the British Museum under a hidden catalog number, its contents suppressed because they would supposedly rewrite history. Researchers, the story goes, are denied access. Translations have vanished. The truth is being managed. It's a compelling story. It also isn't supported by anything. A very large proportion of those 130,000 plus tablets are publicly searchable through the British Museum's online collection. Being in storage rather than on display isn't evidence of concealment. It's just what happens to a collection with far more objects than exhibition space. The real gap is more mundane and, honestly, more interesting. Thousands of tablets remain damaged, fragmentary, or entirely untranslated, and many that have been translated still haven't received a complete scholarly edition, not because anyone is hiding them, but because there simply aren't enough trained Assyriologists to work through a collection this size. If that claim falls apart on contact with the museum's own catalog, the next one is bolder still, and considerably harder to check, which is exactly why it spreads so well. A related theory holds that a Sumerian tablet encoded a precise, futuristic population figure for Earth, tied to some coming event. It's the kind of number that sounds too specific to be made up, the kind of detail that feels like proof, simply because it's so exact. But no published translation by a working Assyriologist contains anything resembling a numeric population prophecy. Cuneiform signs frequently carry multiple meanings. Damaged tablets require careful reconstruction, and translations get revised as new fragments surface, conditions that make the writing system genuinely vulnerable to misreading, selective quoting, and, in some corners of the internet, translations invented from nothing at all. No peer-reviewed Assyriological source backs any version of this claim. It remains an online legend, not a documented discovery. And every time someone traces one of these numbers back toward its supposed tablet, the trail runs out at a blog post or a video, never at a museum catalog number. The boldest version of the theory goes bigger still, that a tablet identifies the Earth-Sun Lagrange point, describes orbital mechanics, or names the Van Allen radiation belts thousands of years early. No accepted translation says anything close. Lagrange points were first worked out mathematically by Joseph Louis Lagrange in 1772. The Van Allen belts weren't detected until 1958, using data from the Explorer 1 satellite. What's actually happening here has a name: retrofitting, starting from a modern discovery and combining ancient texts backwards for phrases that can be bent to fit it. Combined with confirmation bias, ordinary mythological language starts to look suspiciously precise. None of this means the Sumerians weren't serious astronomers. They watched the sky for centuries, methodically. It means there's no evidence they possessed the mathematical framework required to derive orbital mechanics they had no way of observing directly. So why do these stories keep coming back, generation after generation, no matter how many times they're checked and found empty? Maybe because the real record is genuinely extraordinary and still incomplete, and that gap is exactly where the imagination wants to live. Thousands of tablets remain unpublished, or only partly translated, and new excavations keep reshaping what's understood about Mesopotamia even now. That real uncertainty is fertile ground. When history still has gaps, it's tempting to fill them with something louder than patient philology. Sometimes that curiosity leads people back to the genuine record. Sometimes it just buries it under something invented, something that sounds better than the truth but was never actually there. There are still countless tablets under Mesopotamia's sand, unread and untranslated, each one a small, unresolved question waiting for someone with the training to answer it properly. Whatever they actually say may turn out to be stranger and more remarkable than anything invented about them. Until then, the greatest mystery isn't a hidden tablet in a locked drawer with a suppressed catalog number. It's how easily a myth can grow around the fragments a civilization actually left behind, and how rarely anyone thinks to check.